Well, hello there, my sewing friends. Today you're going to do Savvy Sashings with Stitchhouse and me, Terry. And I just wanted to welcome to our last video to finish the stitching and piecing of the quilt. We're going to be using Quilter Select. You know how much we like here at the store. The 10.5 inch square. And I've got a couple new items that we're going to use during the sashing lineup part. And that is a water erase marker and an actual alcohol erase to remove your lines. And we are going to jump right into our project. See you in a second. We can't just jump right into the sashing part. What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to look at all of our blocks and see what we can do with that. Now, if you've been watching us through the whole experience, what you're going to realize is that we had 4 different sewers and we had 5 different machines, and each machine has its own version of a 1/4 inch. Now, if I would have sewed all these blocks on the M7, we would have been more consistent and we would have had a nicer time of squaring off our blocks. But since we've had, you know, the Luminaire, we had the 880, the 790, the M7, and the S6. And each one of those is kind of a different way of setting it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure all these blocks and find out which is my smallest, or if I have an actual average size. So first thing, I'm going to take my little Quilter Select ruler and I'll go from one end of my block to the other, and this one is actually about 10.25 inches. And then I'll go to this one and I can do it down through the middle, and right there is 10 1/8. That is not going to be too much of a problem. I'll be able to fix that one, and then here is now 10.5. So now we have to decide how we're going to actually approach the squaring down our blocks without sacrificing our points. So what I've done is I've gone through and measured the center of my block one way and center of the block the other way, and I've found out the average size, and the average size of my blocks is 10.25. And so from here, this point to this point is 10.25. So most of these, probably 90% of them, I will not lose my points as I sew along. But over here, I think you can see there's one that had right here. So this is a little longer, a little wider than a 1/4 inch. And so I might lose a little bit here, but definitely I might be able to get this point here and here. But this one is going to have a little bit of blue before the point. I've got the block underneath my 10.5 inch ruler, and the cool thing about these Quilter Select rulers is, I think we've talked about that before, is that it will grab my block and it will keep it underneath my ruler from this non-slick underneath. And so that's going to help me when I cut, because I'm actually just, this is 10.5 and I need it 10.25, which means I'm going to have to cut off an 1/8 of an inch on this side and an 1/8 of an inch on that side. So what I'm going to do here is, instead of rotate and do that, I'm going to cut it with my left hand, because I want you to see the nice way that the Quilter Select cutter will work. Normally I'll be right-handed and hold it this way, but I can also hold it left-handed. So I'm just going to push my button down. I'm going to tap my black safety off, and I'm going to hold my ruler, and I'm going to start here, and I'm just going to go up slowly and cut that section off, tap, and close my ruler. And so now I have to do the other side. So now I have a perfect square. Now that I know that the block is 10¼ inches wide, my sashing pieces will now be 10¼ inches wide. So I'm going to cut 1, 2, 3, 4 for each row. That means I'll need 12 10¼ inch pieces of sashing. I've lined up my sashing pieces with my lines about every 2½ inches, and I left a ½ inch open. That way I can cut all these pieces at one time. But I need a straight line, so if I'm a right-handed person, I would normally cut this way. So I need to have a straight edge here. So what I'm going to do is rotate my mat so I can get a straight edge. And now I'm going to lay this down with my lines, and I'm pretty straight here, and I'm going to move this past, I'm going to move this past my salvage right here. Right now I'm going to look at my cutting ruler, and I'm going to rotate it so my 1 inch is here, and I'm going to come over here to 10¼ inches. So I'm going to lay my cutting ruler down at 10¼ Remember, I just straightened all these edges, and I know that this is going right along with all my markings, and then I'm going to just make one of these, and this is 10¼ 8, 10, 12. Alright, so I've cut my sashings to 10¼ and what I'm going to do for my first block right here, so I don't get confused about my layout, I'm just going to pin this one right onto here, and then I'm going to lay another one at the bottom of this block, and I'll adjust at the machine. Another one onto this block here on the bottom. And I'm actually kind of happy the way that I've got the blocks kind of squared up. They're going to fit. Being more consistent with your 1/4 inch, you're going to have a better point and opportunity when you're sewing. So this one, I'm going to put one on the bottom and one on the top. That way I'll know this is my top one. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my seam here, 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 iron it, and I'll be right back. I've finished seaming my sashings where I had pinned them, and then I also want you to notice that it is a 1/4 inch. I managed to keep my point here, and I'm expecting to keep this one. This is a little longer here, but I'm going to be all right with that because at least it wasn't chopped off. So I think we're going to be all right with quite a few of these. When you look at this one, I'm probably going to lose this point, and we'll be all right here. It is possible that I might be able to fudge this down a little bit so I still keep my point in there. And I'll show you in another section how to do that. But right now all I'm going to do is just put this one face down onto there, and I'm going to sew this seam right here, and then I will take this whole section and lay it up on top of here, and those are the only two seams I have left for this section, and I will sew those and we'll be right back. So I'm going to take this sashing and this block. I'm going to be working on our little navy blue, and I'm going to show you how to get this point in our sashing. And then this one, actually, that one is going to work because that's a 1/4 inch, but let me show you this one, which is just a little shallower than a 1/4 inch. And we'll put this right here, and I'll meet you over to the sewing machine. Okay, so I'm approaching my needles again, so I'm just going to creep up to my needles, and remember never to sew over your needles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this first one out, I'm going to approach it a little closer, and then I'm going to take this one out. But I got my finger pushing down. I'm going to get the stylus here, I'm going to hold these right where I want it to go. I'm going to come to the front a little bit. I'm going to just ease through there. And I'm going to stay right along with the side of my fabric. Make sure that I'm staying level and everything is good. And I'm going to just come right to the end of my fabric. So what I can do now is I can take this little erase marker. I can just draw it back and forth. And there it goes. All gone. And I have a nice point to show for it. I'm going to continue to sew all the rest of my sashing ends, and I'll be back with you when I'm ready to do my vertical ones. So now we have our sashing sewn in, and we are on the home stretch now. What I need to do is I need to figure out the length of this long vertical sashing, and we're going to have 4 of those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure each of my strips, and right now they're 38 inches long, and so I'm going to cut my sashing, vertical sashing at 38 inches, and then I will be back to show you how to make sure that your horizon lines are level. So I've sewn my first sashing, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you're going to line this one up so your horizontal line is completely straight across. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to go straight across with my block. I'm going to try to line everything up as horizontal as I can, and then I'm going to mark a little dot right up here. Alright, that's my first one, and then I'm going to continue to go up the line, and I can be on either side of my block, but if I'm over like this one, remember this is exactly 2 inches wide, so my blue line is on this 2 inch, so I can come right here. Now what I'm going to do after I get all of these, I now can go like this, and I can line that seam line up with that one, and then when I open it up, exactly horizontal. Okay, so I've finished, and look how horizontal my strips are. So we've got the last sashings in, and I need to do one good steam press, but I wanted you to see what it looks like. And we are finished and ready for it to be quilting. So feel free, if you enjoyed our project all the way through, to go to our Shop Stitchhouse YouTube page and subscribe, and remember to hit the bell so you can actually get any new videos that we'll have coming up. And one of those is going to be, like I said, our finishing quilting, and one of them will be our long arm quilting. And I'm excited about that. We're going to have some special guests during that time, and I'm excited for you to see some of the other people that work at our store. And to also keep up with this, you can go to #SewAlongWithStitchhouse, and you could go to #PerfectPoints and post some of your pictures. We will be here for you here at the store anytime you need us. You can also find us at shopstitchhouse.com.